Well, unfortunately, my failure of intention is a little bit different. I think it was Margaret Atwood that once described what the siren sang, and that was they drew men to their deaths by saying, "Help me, only you can help me." Unfortunately, involved, whatever the hell that means, for a good 8 years with a woman who was brilliant and beautiful, but unfortunately was a borderline personality. So I, finally ended with her because I finally realized all those times she told me she loved me, I realized I never knew whether anything she ever told me was true. I visited her in London and her place in the East Village, and we kissed goodbye that day. And she said, when do you think we'll see each other? And I said, I never know whether I'll ever see you again. That spring break, she was supposed to get together with me and disappeared until told me she was chasing some drunken poet to Dublin and claimed that she came back because she thought of me. Nice. Well, I was pretty anxious that semester because I was teaching a bunch of courses, plus preparing a conference on the mythic reality of the autonomous individual. Let me repeat that. The mythic reality of the autonomous individual, of which the lesson was an important lesson for all of us in the pandemic, and that is we're far, far more interdependent than we think. Well, I'm getting ready for this, and I'm also considering showing a David Lynch film in my Psyche and Film class. Not Mulholland Drive, which is easy, but I wanted to show Inland Empire, which is only 3.5 hours long, but it's the more redemptive of the Lynch movies. Well, I have this anxiety-ridden dream within a dream one night, and I'm doing a Jungian dream analysis the next day, and I usually take, all sorts of student volunteers, and this time I just had to do mine. I just had to. Inland Empire is a story of a woman named Nikki, played by Laura Dern, who is also playing an actress named Sue, who's going through this woman in trouble, crash and burn, self-destructive line. But it's that doubling that was the case in a lot of the films I showed in that class. So again, the Jungian archetype of consciousness is the ouroborus, the snake eating its tail. So I'm using that image to try to understand that and a bunch of other movies. And it dawns on me that so much is about confusions between people and confusions between internal and external. So I have this other image. And since this is a slam that is virtual, I can't ask you how many of you have heard of a moebius strip, because you can't raise your hands. Nor can I use a prop. But what if you tore a piece of paper off a sheet of paper, put it in a little ring? Now imagine you turn one end of that ring about halfway and then hold that big loop together. Now the interesting thing, that's a moebius strip, is if you try to draw a line around that strip on the inside or on the outside, they're the same, topologically speaking. Like many of our confusions about internal and external, or self and other. But that didn't quite do it either. I'm working on the stream. I'm standing in front of a class, trying to tell them, figure all this stuff out. And I think, well, a snake, what if it's two snakes? Remember, I'm preparing this conference on interdependence and so forth, on relationality, what have you. So I'm thinking, what if it's two snakes? I just have this image of black snakes mating. Snakes mating is the most embarrassingly erotic natural image you've ever seen. I mean, they're squirming around each other, curling around. So imagine it's two snakes in this ouroborus, and they're Batesian mimics. One is the coral snake, which is poisonous, red to yellow, kill a fellow, and the other is a scarlet king snake, red to black, friend to Jack. Well, I've put together this image as part of this dream interpretation, and I just cannot stop thinking about this image. Now, I had one previous tattoo. It's also about this borderline woman. Never mind. And I'm going, this is a great tattoo. Well, I'm giving this conference. My first PowerPoint slide is a big picture of this ouroborus, this moebius ouroborus. In the corner of each one is a moebius. It's my little icon for the whole thing. And unfortunately, this woman who's promised to get together over spring break and promised to get together over a number of times, it just never happens. It just never happens. It never happens. And she vanishes during the entire month of this conference. And I finally just, so I'm leaden. And I finally, by the end of the summer, get to that tattoo place that is right up the street from Zoetrope. I forget the name of it at the moment. I go in with my little image, and he says, it's not going to fit on your arm. And I'm going, what about a picture of an atomic blast, like at Alamogordo, where I also went that summer? And he says, okay, I can do the coloring that. And then I'm thinking what Keats said about the phoenix, and that is, let me not wander in a barren dream, but when I am consumed with fire, give me new phoenix wings to fly to my desire. So I said, can you do me a phoenix coming out of this Alamogordo blast? It wasn't what I intended, which was the moebius ouroborus, but instead I got a tattoo of a phoenix arising out of a nuclear blast. Far more hopeful. Thank you.